Hey, I think we're live. Let me check.
Yep.
Trying
We are
just
live.
yes, we're live. We're live. Okay, right. Let's see how many people we got. Okay, so and then
I think on LinkedIn we are not live yet.
oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Mm, I think we should be live now. I think
Yes.
we should be now.
We are live.
Yes, I've done it this time. Yes. Okay. Okay. All right. So we'll get started. I think we are already 1 minute late. I think I'm hearing myself. Just a second.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. I was hearing myself. Now I can't hear myself. That's good. Okay. All right. So, people who are on LinkedIn, can we get some hi hellos? So, I'll post first hello. I hope we are audible. We are visible. I can see. So, I think everything looks good. Okay. I think we'll get started, Animesh. So, thank you, Animesh. Thank you for doing this, and a very warm welcome on Liberty Tester. We have started this new series called Learn and Grow Gatherings, where we are um, we are doing the learning and also growing.
That's
Sorry,
amazing.
I'm running. uh, I'm running a lot of late today because of a lot of things. Our US folks are here, and they wanted to meet in a huge gathering, and then off off topic discussions and everything. Anyways, we are here, and we are here for you to give us something about Keploy and how Keploy is used. People who have already known Keploy or haven't heard of Keploy, don't worry. We have our true expert on Keploy, and he's going to show us what Keploy can do for us. And obviously, the theme of the year, open source. So we're going to go into the open source aspect of it. And obviously, if you can see on the screen, Animesh is a DevRel for Keploy. I When did I meet you first? I think we met in person at that Google event, but
Yeah, we met
we
first
have been
last
talking
month.
quite a while, right? Yeah,
Right, right.
correct. Yeah,
It's been
and
like
it
we
was
are talking
wonderful.
and planning stuff.
Yes. Yeah, we started offline and then we finally met at Google for the event of the open source that you had. And yeah, congratulations on being selected for Google for Startups. It's a huge thing, and really glad that your team is doing amazing on that front.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. So so the agenda for today is, so we'll go into the actual problem statement about the testing and what are the current problems with testing. Obviously, there are a few frustrated folks here. I am pretty sure that people get frustrated from time to time about testing a particular thing. Also, there are a lot of things about test data, and the solution, the Keploy open source community and the contribution will follow on the solution side. So, handing it over to you, Animesh. I will also add your screen to the stream and we'll get started. In the meanwhile, if people have any questions, they can just pop in the LinkedIn chat or YouTube chat. I'm monitoring both the chats. So feel free to drop your questions there. And over to you, Animesh.
I think uh, yep, I lost for a moment. So yep. Okay, my screen
All
is
good?
visible to everyone. Yeah, all good now.
Yeah,
Can
okay,
hear you.
cool.
Cool. So before I go on and introduce why I got Keploy and what we do, so here's a short uh, problem statement. So back in 2021, there was a survey which basically showcased, and we have seen this while in a COVID period as well. That Slack used to go down, Zoom used to go down, even few days back, Instagram went down, right? So why those were things happening and how it impacted me? Not many folks were aware, or they generally overlook when it comes to the testing of a software or testing of a specific features before releasing it. And due to that, US business has lost more than 2 trillion 20, and the loss has been dramatically what should I say, dramatically have increased from 2 trillion to somewhere around 2.5 trillion according to the latest reports. But yeah, so that's why when we understood or we came across like, okay, why is this happening? So there were some reasons. Let me move on a bit. Yep, I think I should be able to. Yeah. So when we found out during a life cycle how the life cycle generally looks like, we came across, okay, developer spends the time, they develop. So in a month of or a 4 weeks cycle, developer spends around 40% of their time, some in developing the feature and locally on their machines with different maybe sample apps and such stuffs. And once they are done, then only actual thorough testing is done by SDETs and the QAs. Why so? So, and because of which there are a lot of tools and brackets, because QA takes time. They they generally go from unit testing to testing, and then in some cases EDA testing. So those take time, and before they feedback to the dev, make changes, and then again it comes for the testing, the sprint cycle is over, and they in a hurry they have to anyway launch the feature, which results in in a buggy feature or a buggy code. That's why they say, okay, we are still working on it. Or in Androids, Google Play, we can see, okay, you are a beta user, you provide us with the feedback, and then we'll let you know whether it's working or not. That's all we have seen. Yeah, that's why.
So can I go back to that other slide? It says 50%. I just want to get to know from people that 50
How
to
many of
100
you agree?
gap, is it really is it really 50% that we get it at, or is it
I
is
think
it
it's
more like
definitely more than
80% we get it?
50%. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, because when we are saying this, right, it's mostly like people usually get it on the, like, for us also it happened, but I don't want to disclose it here. We'll take it offline sometime. But yeah, sorry to interrupt you again. We'll move on. Yes.
That's fine. This is so. How many of you people actually agree? Like somewhere around 50 to 60% is generally spent on testing and overall testing by both the development unit as they write or they check using Postman and Hopscotch, their backends, and the rest is by the QAs. You can
I
let us.
I personally I personally don't think so. Because I personally think that first bit is quite prolong it, and then people get on to the next stuff. So that's what I think. But I don't know what people think. They can put in the comments if they are. So yeah.
Usually, it's either a way to like the 50% moves around 80%, 80-20 ratio is generally there. And sometimes 20% is for testing. Okay, this feature is now ready, you have to test it. Okay, when's the deadline? Oh, it was yesterday, you had to launch and before the QAs and SDET sign off, they actually can't release the code, right? So
Yeah.
it's very like it's a very high pressure on them.
and
One,
and this is for the ones which are planned. If you
yeah,
look at the patch and other things, right, it's
yeah, right,
it's
right,
off the window. I mean, you don't even have time to have that testing
definitely.
done. Yeah.
So that's why actually we came up with Keploy. So when the developer has given a time to develop a feature, on then and there, he's anyway gonna test his features whether it's working or not. Why not help QA and 𝐆𝐫𝐨𝐰 by making some testing suits, which can be further used by the 𝐆𝐫𝐨𝐰s and the testing team, to be precise, to like delegate some of the workloads on them. So Keploy is an E2E, or more like I would say integration testing tool, that does not use any piece of code integrations and such stuff to help you in creating, in fact, generating your E2E integration test cases, as well as the data. And I see how it really works. It's not a baseless some kind of thing. Something about me. Who am I? So said what I do. I've launched in public, so people don't come back. Okay, this is not working. Okay, this is wrong. So that's me. You can connect with 𝐿𝐿 and on Twitter by 𝐿𝐿1219. Yeah. So that's something about me. I'll move to this part.
Before we move on, a personal question. Is there a story behind that
Yeah.
handle? Or it just stuck
Yeah.
along?
So no. So the story is like I am a big fan of anime. My name also contains the anime, and I used to watch game. So I was learning. I was like onto a Japanese stuff a lot. So I came across
Mm-hmm.
ichi. Ichi means one. So I like, okay, it's when combined together, it's making a very fun sound. So Nichigo. Even I don't know the what's complete meaning till now. But I kind of
Yeah,
went
but interesting. Yeah.
so Nichigo stuck kind of a bit. Yeah. So that's the story of why I also, you can find me on net by the name of Sonichigo. I have monopolized that thing.
That's cool.
Moving to
That's
like
cool.
why the time that we discussed, like 40/60 ratio here is not actually enough, because when we are moving, or generally the patchwork that we discussed, like, so developer is making, they made some commits, they push the code, and now they're saying, okay, the changes need to be synced. They take that time into the patching of the changes, syncing whether everything is working or not before delivering or handing it over to the testing team. And once it with the testing team, they first set up with unit test integrations. When they are setting the unit test, they need to check whether the tests that we have previously created are still being maintained or not, or do we need to write any more new test cases, set up the test environment again whole, and then move to the integration where they said dependencies. So all these are a very tiring and a manual testing purpose, done generally now. In some rare cases, what I've seen after the AI boom, the synthetic data are mostly the chat GPT provided ones. So that's how, and which are not very reliable, because we are not going to know how the end user is going to use it. So that's why what we did, we tried to reduce the timing. How? So when developer is making the feature, they would try and check their features through Postman, Hopscotch, backend, maybe with the UI. Right. So how Keploy works, Keploy basically captures all the network traffic that are happening with your application and the server, basically. And from the captured traffic, it creates test data. And with test data from the outgoing calls that have been made, the test suits or tests are actually generated from your live and actual data. So that's why we guarantee it works, because it worked in any way.
Okay. So I have a
If you have any,
question in the chat actually, which says,
yeah,
so there are other tools which are based on the protocols like Open Telemetry, which also do the same thing, right? So
right.
what is Keploy also on the similar platform, or is it something else that Keploy is using?
We do have an hotel, but what we are using or leveraging is basically an eBPF. So eBPF is externally packet filters. How it works? It works at a kernel level. So it logs everything that is happening, or all the things that are happening in your local system from the OS, the system. Benefit is that you are much more deep. How should I say this? All the data is required for you to make an analysis, because all the live traffic is going from kernel, the command to the kernel, and then it moves ahead. So we are using BPF.
Okay. And does that mean that I have to be on a Linux system to use Keploy, or?
So we don't actually need to be on a Linux system. You can use
Mhm.
like Linux distro. If you are on Mac OS, then you can use our Docker. If you're in if you're on, then you can use WSL. Basically, the reason being, uh, eBPF need, right? If you are on a Windows system, it's very hard for you to actually grant the sudo access or the root access unless and until you run as administrator. That's why if you have a WSL, it's very preferred. And as far as I know, uh, since one of the updates in Windows 10, you by default get WSL 1. So you get that Windows system for Linux. You can just leverage that. For the Mac, we have a Docker Compose, Keploy Docker image that you can.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the OS is not a constraint.
No OS
Okay.
constraint, no language, because what we are capturing or what we are actually looking for is the entire that are happening on your kernel level for your applications through whatever ports you're running on. So we act as a
Hmm.
proxy from. That's why if you're using Rust, maybe Python, so you don't need any indentation for that. You just need to install and start the Keploy record
Hmm.
with whatever preferred command that you have. For
Okay.
Python,
Okay.
and I
Hmm.
have application for app.py. Then it will be Keploy record app.py, Python app.py, whatever I need to run my application. For it and Go, it would be Go run a
Hmm.
file name. Case of
Okay.
.NET, it would
Okay.
be .NET, since that generally take care of it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's move ahead.
Yeah. Let me know if the screen is visible. Yeah. So as we were discussing, since we capture live traffic from your application and the interactions that are happening with it, right? And on the basis of that, we create your data. The data mocks is generated, and as well as your test cases are automatically generated. That part is clear. You don't need aggregation test to write it off, and no need to maintain it. That's why, and since no setup is required, the developers are testing, creating their features. Have started. They'll try to run their own application to check the features, and that's it. They have done. So if as far as I can go, integration tests are taken care of by the developers themselves. So it offloads a lot of time for the how, at least we can say, is by now not you don't any new test cases or maintain the old set of elements, take care of any dependency marking and such stuff. Now all they need to do for these of its functionalities, some maybe in addition to integration testing, maybe some test PYs, unit test. So effort is basically saved a lot. And since the thorough testing is done by both the ends, development and the testers, there'll be a lot less buggy code released with the features. Yeah. So let me showcase you of how it works. I'm gonna just check once. Okay. Is my screen visible?
So maybe before we move to demo, so what are the typical use cases that you have seen Keploy working very successfully? I think there's some network issue on your side, is it?
Ye-
Yeah. Okay. I think I can hear you now. Yeah.
just- Yeah. Um, that we have yet seen is production, some in CI/CDs. I'll take an
Mm-hmm.
example of both of them. So for our open source ones, people are using it basically for the mocking features. Nutanix is one of them. Nutanix is using Keploy to generate mocks and then use the same mock for their unit testing as well as integrating E2E. So Keploy takes care of for the E2E for them, and the mocks that we have created for them is being again used for unit testing purposes. So they have mapped it. Other use cases that we have seen
Okay.
is in the
Mm-hmm.
Kubernetes, the pods and the services. So we are able to mock incoming and outgoing calls, and then on basis of that, we can check of how it's working, if there is any error, the resource versioning is done properly or not. That's another. I would say the most common one that we have seen is when we are using how can I say multi-dependent. Uh, so how it generally works, they have multiple dependencies. They are using Mongo, they are using RabbitMQ, Kibana, or
Mm-hmm.
Prometheus for their monitoring purposes, as well as Twilio for their SMS services and mailing. In even some cases, Mailer and SMTP that people are
Okay.
using, and we are able to mock and give them a test. So it's like a one testing suite and all. Whatever dependency you
Mm-hmm.
have, we are able to mock, create a test generation. So you don't have to integrate any third party. That generally, you in general cases, you need to actually maintain it for a long period of time, and that's also a technical curve, right? Technical depth
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
need
Correct.
to first learn how it's working, and then
Mm-hmm.
like in a case of Mocha, since it's a very flexible,
Yeah.
there's a lot of a learning curve there. You have to see of how it's working and not, and that can't be used for a very large systems because
Mm-hmm.
the time complexity. It will take a lot of time to run, and that's not just worth it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Understood. Okay. Let's move on to demo. Yes.
So let me know if my screen is visible. Just try it out. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's visible now.
Okay, you are able to see my VS Code.
Yeah. I can see.
Just
If you can maybe
increase the size.
yeah, increase the size a bit.
I think visible better.
Yeah. I think so.
I'll try.
I can see it. I mean, I can read it. So the previous one was better, slightly bigger.
Okay, I think this.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like a something I just whipped up for the demo. It's URL short now. How it works, you basically provide it with commands, maybe URL. That's the only parameter that you need. So I'll just start. Okay. Terminal sudo. So it's a combination of Gen framework that's in Go as well as MongoDB. So I'll start my MongoDB. Yep, it's running, up and running. Okay. By the way, yeah. So I have created a kind of a script also. I don't have to make the curl commands again. I'll be
Okay.
using those this file to basically make multiple requests at the same time. So okay. Now it's very simple. We have a one-click installation that you can find in our readmes and other stuff. Basically, once you have your Keploy installed in your local system, you just need to generate your config file. So how the config file works, we work on a two basis: record and replay. The record mode is where we capture or we listen to everything, and in the test mode, we just test. We run the test cases that we have created. So I'll go ahead and create my config file. Okay, it's config file generated successfully. I'll show you how it looks. Yep, here it is. So you can see in record we have multiple fields. Same with test. So how it works, I'll copy my paste my path. So this is my path for my application where my application is waiting. So the path, the command that I need to run, that's main.co handler.co. I'll copy paste here in my test. This is a one time neat setup that's required. And if you're using Docker, then the same thing that you need to. So if I use Docker container as a whole, and I used to pass my 𝐿 application, I'll have my deploy network. I don't have any noise yet. Okay. Same with 𝐿 delay would be deploy network. Will delay 100 seconds because it takes a bit long time. Yeah. Ignored ordering with coverage false. Yeah. So I'll go one by one. So there are two ways to run Keploy. If you're on a Linux or a Windows system, that's using Docker or a native binary. If you're using a native binary, then we need is the command. And in the case you're using Docker, we need a network name and container name. Since you install from one click, that's why the by default it automatically creates Docker network with the name of Keploy network. That's all. Then you don't need anything else. Depending on how long it takes for your image or how heavy your image is, you may need to adjust your build delay. So this is basically to build your Docker image or start your Docker containers. Same thing with the test. You need to provide your path in whichever your home application is, the commands, and the rest is same. I'll go into the what is global noise and how it works once I have shown you how it generally works. Okay, so this is my, okay, I need one more time. Come on. Yeah. My terminal is visible, right?
Yeah. So one question I have is this? You can switch back to the code. That's fine.
Okay.
Um,
The
this
Kepler
looks
one.
like what do you say? A single entry point application, right? Like it will be, yeah. So I mean, you might come to that, but I had a question. Like if you have multiple applications running, and then you may be doing multiple operations in multiple components. So will Keploy actually monitor everything, or how will that be?
So how Keploy will work, it will act as a proxy for your application specifically. That's why I said the home folder of your
Hmm.
main application. For
Okay.
example, you could have multiple folders in which you have dependencies that are working. Some may contain your model.go, some may contain your utils and such stuff. So how whatever ports that are actually working with it, the Keploy will act proxy for all those. And in case you are not using those utils or those connections, those won't be captured. I hope able to answer. Yeah. How Keploy
I
manages
was
multiple.
trying to get the question here, so I was on
Yeah.
the other screen. Sorry. Yeah, I got that part when you said that it is acting as a proxy, and um, so it will be acting as a proxy on the current network only. So
Yeah.
if you talk
So
in
that's
terms of Docker, if I have a
yeah.
Docker network created, it will be only for that network where we are
Yes.
running the Kepler, right? Okay.
So no matter how many files you have, or whatever your functions. So in Docker Compose, I have my Go app that's connected with Docker network, and Mongo, I have Mongo that's also working on a Keploy network. So if I
Hmm.
use Docker, it will listen to both both my image for the Go app as well
Okay.
as the Mongo. Now you could have here maybe Twilio as well. Twilio does not support, I think. Yeah, Twilio does not support. Maybe you could have Elasticsearch,
Mm-hmm.
Logstash, and such stuff. So till they are on a same network, Keploy will monitor everything.
Okay. Okay.
But what you want, what the calls are, according to the calls that you're
Mm-hmm.
making, it will create the test cases. And after a while, it will make those connections inactive since it is not getting any response from there.
Okay. But
Yeah.
the like Twilio
Yeah.
and other things will be like a plain HTTP calls out of the system, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
okay.
Uh,
So it won't be monitoring that, or
so it won't be monitoring until the call is made.
uh-huh.
So Twilio is normal HTTP call. Maybe you are making some calls to get maybe sending an OTP, right? So
Okay.
once the OTP is sent, you have got okay. This is the OTP response.
Mm-hmm.
After that, it's not required anymore. It will wait. It will have connection with it, established connection, but it will convert it to the inactive
Yeah.
until again you make the same OTP request or maybe some verification calls, send
Mm-hmm.
email, send grid email. It won't be triggered again, or it won't means capture it again. It will still listen, but won't do anything.
Okay. Okay.
So that's with the Docker part. If you're using the command, then all you need is the command to run your main application. Since I just have two files, I'm using main.go
Mm-hmm.
and app.go. Here we could have maybe go run dot, that's all. And if you're using Django, maybe
Yeah.
Python 3 main.py, I think that's what it is. Main.py or app.py. So similarly, you don't need anything else. In that case, in the native case, it will be adhering to everything similar to the Kepler
Mm-hmm.
network. What happens in Docker, but in this case, it will be with attached with the ports and the services that.
Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm.
So I have set up everything. I just need Kepler record. I'll bring my screen to full size. Yeah. So that's how it long takes for Keploy to get started. Showcased, okay, the app is running. I'll just go ahead and make some calls. So these were the curl commands that I prepared earlier
Mm-hmm.
as shown to post request to get request. And at the same time, Kepler has captured everything. So it even showcase or tells you which kind of calls there were, status codes, normal curl command stuff, 200, 300, 400, 200, 300. So at the same time, I got four test cases and one mock.yml. I'll
Okay.
go a bit into what mock.yml is. So we were talking about Twilio, right? In that
Mm-hmm.
case, since it's a HTTP, you will get in kind HTTP and HTTP mocks will be recorded. Since I'm using
Correct.
Mongo, the kind is Mongo. If I'm using any database,
Mm-hmm.
for example, Postgres, in that case, we get Postgres. And whatever request that we have sent, responses, the both the request and the response that we got, it all gets
Mm-hmm.
captured.
Okay.
So in Mongo, first we get an handshake. So you can see here what calls were made before the application is when the application is connected, before any
Mm-hmm.
calls were made. So you can see, okay, this was the call, even my Go, what Go version I am, architecture, Linux, is number, is master, hello, true. This is a handshake call, a pretty simple handshake call. And then we move to actually queries. Okay, I'll go on a bit. Hello, mock 4. Yes, URL shortener, order true, concern major, and here we can see the calls that we were made. So this is one of those. I'll open my this as well. Yeah. So this is one of my call requests in response to the post request. So we can see when it was created, how the numbers and whether it was passed or not, from where it was connected, everything. Similarly, I get my test results. So since I was using 4 and 3, yeah, here it is. So here it is. You can see the outgoing call is simple. The incoming and
Mm-hmm.
outgoing calls are HTTP. So HTTP, we got the mocks. The database calls are specific to the the database or dependency that we are using. But the tests are pretty much HTTP only, the conversation. So that's how we got the curl command, except true. What was the status code? This is for the test sharing. Yeah, and here it is. Simple post command. Then this is the get command for the similar 303. And yep. So that's how your test actually looks like, and pretty simple YML file. So if you need to change something or edit something, you can go ahead and do so. Now there are two ways.
Okay.
I'll
Mm-hmm.
first showcase. So I have some noise in this application. I'll showcase you while in Keploy test. Oh, by the way, I forgot to close this. So now my database is pretty much off. I'll just check. Yep, my database is off. No connection. Test. So in test mode,
Mm-hmm.
Kepler actually utilizes the mocks that it has created earlier. So when we are testing, we don't need a database instance actually, and that's a very good thing, because why test from the live application? Once you have already recorded a piece of the application, why keep the database up and running for all times? Yep. So we can see that we had 4 tests, 2 passed, 2 failed, and why they failed, you can actually know. Okay. So because in my application, I have something to call timestamp, date and time parameter type, which
Mm-hmm.
is different every time, and which will be different every time. So other than that, my whole application has passed. Uh, now there could be certain noise fields that I actually need, and some failed test cases that I need. But if you don't need them, you have 2 ways. I'll showcase of how to do so. Sorry, this is a get call post. Yeah. So either you can manually edit in the body.ts whatever noise fields you have, and then clear it a bit. Or the second way is through the config file that we have created. I'll just try to show it in a bit. Yep. So earlier we were getting 4 passed, 2 failed, 2 passed total lists. Now we are getting only one failed. That's because the time field that I have added it as a noise, so it won't recognize it. Basically, will pass through. Okay, this is a noise. This will keep changing. Ignore it. That's the one way of manually always updating each test files. And that's a very lengthy way to do, I believe. What you can do, I'll remove from here, and on a Keploy config file, I'll add in test. Okay, so global, it's body and header. I'll add TS here. This will be, yeah. Curate terminals for test. Now, since we have defined in our YML in the config file itself that okay, this is a global noise, you can ignore it every time. So I again then I don't have to add it in each and every YML. This is better, because when we are using JWT tokens or any other stuff that would change after a while, we don't need our test case to fail because of that. In that case, we can add it as a just a noise. Here it is. It has completed. Now we can see, okay, total test pass 4, total test 4, and everything has passed successfully with each and every response that we should actually get. So this is how it actually works. And then,
Okay. So here we knew what would be noisy, right?
yes, yes.
What if you don't know?
So if you don't know for the first time, when you run the Kepler test, you will get to know.
Mm-hmm.
So even in this case, not from the developer's perspective, because I built the application, uh, but yeah, as I said, just run the Kepler test and it will tell you what are the things that are acting as a noise.
Okay. Okay.
Just let
So do I have to like go through the differences and figure it out, or is there a easy way to see?
You have to see from the first test failure that has happened, because the Keploy works on the matching, fuzzy matching part.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Okay.
that's why in as soon as the first test fails, you will know why it
Mm-hmm.
failed. And if it's something that you want to keep, like that failed test cases should occur, then you can leave it as it is, or again, or otherwise move forward and act it as a noise in your field, in your file, or in your YAMLs, of either way you want.
Okay. Okay.
And the second thing that we have is test reports. Is my Chrome visible?
Yeah. 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 It's there.
Okay. Uh, okay, I may need to check how it works. Okay, give me a second. I'll copy this directly. Maybe the fourth one, test report. So this is how the test report actually looks. Since I had two uh, failing tests, right? So that's how it's looking like. The overall status failed. I got two success, two failures. What I'll do, I'll quickly maybe create another window. See, and then code .yml. Tag it now. Documents, GitHub, report. Oh, I need the testing suits. Just a minute. I think I can showcase it from maybe some another one. Samples go.
So, are we missing anything for the report or?
Basically, you need to upload the folder. I'm
Okay.
on my
Okay.
VM, so I won't be able to drag it out. I
Okay.
think
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
have
Okay. Mm-hmm.
one present. Or I'll create just a second.
So the test that we ran, so those tests plus report, right?
Yes. Not
That's what we need.
test, only the reports.
Only the report. Okay. Okay. And how would it work if I'm running this in a like a remote Docker or something?
Uh, Remote Docker. So in that case, your file would still be created similarly.
Uh huh.
Uh, okay, yeah, just a second.
Yeah.
Worked. I think it worked. Just check. Yeah, test report. I'll upload the whole. Yeah. So this is how it looks like. Since you are on your VM or maybe a Docker container, you can go into the Docker container and get it. Either way,
Mm-hmm.
basically, whatever your home directory is, if you have not specified any other path, you'll get your test generated there itself.
Okay.
In case you
Okay.
are using Kubernetes or any clusters, you'll get your
Mm-hmm.
report and you can drag and drop it to your test dot report to visualize it, or either just see it on a terminal.
Hmm. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
The terminal one, the one that you showed earlier, right? That's
Yes,
the
yes.
same.
The terminal
Okay.
one is this one. Okay, this one. Of how it looks. Another way, you will have your YML. Since we write asynchronously,
Mm-hmm.
you'll get your results faster than it's written in file. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So this is how, if you want to visualize it, you can see, okay, which one passed, which one failed, and what were the API requests that were made for that
Mm-hmm.
specific call. And
Okay.
you can debug, okay, this went wrong, maybe this is why it went wrong, or how I can fix it. So it makes it what should I say, the feedback loop between dev and testing team a bit faster. Because if I share this file with you or the test reports with you, you'll be
Mm-hmm.
able to use it as normally. So the problem, okay, this works on my machine and this does not work on my machine, is similar to Docker. It's all basically, if you have a test suite, the Keploy
Yeah.
folder, you can run it anywhere you want with the same application.
With the same application. Okay.
uh,
That's cool. That's cool.
so I'll go a bit again to the slides. Okay. So the things that we were looking to solve were actually the cost of development,
Hmm.
the reduced risk, the customer experience, as well as time to market. Since at the beginning we discussed, and I think majority would disagree with the 60-40 ratio. But yeah,
Yeah, I don't know about others. I definitely do.
so when we discuss like, okay, these are the patches, the feedback loop is going on, right? And then when we say, okay, now it's finally ready, we come across, okay, maybe we have a day or two only in buffer, and we still need to check
Hmm.
a lot of things. So that basically takes up the market of marketing that feature.
Yeah.
Now there could be another uh, software in your same domain that has launched that feature. You have lost the game of to actually market it and build the hype around it. Same with the customer experience. Now I know my application is tested. So there are less chances to actually release the have all the buggy release or the buggy feature in the production.
Hmm.
We have
Hmm.
already done the testing. It's on the time, and we have still maybe have a couple of days in a buffer to do another round of testing. That would be like very unusual case if you have. Second thing, since you don't need to set up everything again from the scratch, maybe maintain your test environments, mock the dependencies, the cost of development is reduced by 50%. Since we have talked about Taylor a lot, so testing a Taylor lake
Yeah.
actually requires a lot of credits if from their store. So there's a chance that you could go into the negative. It's very
Hmm.
expensive to test those APIs. And again, since manual process is not removed, but like setting up a whole thing is removed, you don't need to maintain it a lot. You know, okay, this is faster. If there's any vulnerabilities, you can more focus on the security vulnerabilities,
Yeah.
compliance things. So 90% of your task is reduced because now you have more attention or compliance issues, security vulnerabilities, and other stuff, rather than making same running same in suits again and again to check, okay, this failed, and then sending it back and move further, right? So that was the initial thought of, and still is a thought of building a Kepler, an open source AI tool.
Hmm. So when we are seeing these three things coming together, right? So when we say reduced risk, right?
Mhm.
Anything particular in like from a security aspect that Keploy has inbuilt,
Right
or
now, we are mostly first trying to solve. So we are going by pillar by pillar.
mm-hmm.
We have solved the improved customer experience because now you can see, okay, these are the reasons that your application is not working, or
Yeah.
you don't have to maintain it for a very long time. Same with, we
Mm.
have now shifted to time to market is reduced by 40%. Now Keploy can in 2 minutes, if you are using unit testing frameworks and Keploy, you can get up to 90% of test coverage.
Yeah.
The third pillar that we are currently working on is to reduce the development of the cost of development by having more integrations and parsers to such as Mongo, Postgres, MySQL, uh, Oracle, and such, with more integration with the different frameworks, trying it out to reduce the cost of development. And
Mm-hmm.
eventually, once we have stabilized it, then we'll move to the security aspect, like the 30% of the reduced, 90% reduced risk. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
the current goal.
So uh, tell tell me more about like open source offering and what what all things people can start experimenting with using the open source.
Okay, I'll just stop the screen share and come directly here. Yeah, I think you can come on a center. Um, yeah. So right now in our open source, we have different integrations available. When I say
Yeah.
integration, it's mostly the most common parsers for the
Mm-hmm.
databases support. It's DynamoDB, MongoDB, Postgres, a bit MySQL, and with the tested supported of .NET, Rust, some popular Go frameworks such as Jing, Mux. A bit we are inclining towards other as well. Then Java support, Python, Django, Flask, as well as fast API support.
Mm-hmm.
What right now we are working on is to the SDKs. Um, so you can generate test and then get a better coverage, but more value actually lies when you're using with your existing testing suits, such as you may have some Python frameworks, Python PyTest, some Jest, some Go test, and such stuff, right? So we're working. The SDK supports are there for them out for the Java, Jest, PyTest, and Go test. We
Mm-hmm.
have tried
Okay.
this, and people can actually use it to get their better coverage. We have received around from Java. We have received around 90%. For the Go test, for the complex application a bit, which is heavy, we have received around 84.5%, and similar with Jest and Python.
Okay. That's the numbers are pretty impressive. So, yeah,
That's why
I would, yeah.
like our goal of reaching 90% coverage in 2 minutes. Like that's something that we're trying to visualize it right now.
I can't,
Uh, am I
I,
audible now?
I mean, I can't relate to it because somehow, those numbers I've never seen. So it's very hard to relate to when those numbers are not like your day to day defaults or day to day practice,
Like
right?
once in a
So
lifetime, like a blue moon.
yeah. Yeah, possibly when they actually push the first commit they might have been at 90%, but after that nobody nobody really cared about it. I think that's what happened. But yeah, I think that's the story, most of the places, and I really appreciate what Keploy is doing and how Keploy is trying to change that trend, and how you are actually making that effort to change. So I again, maybe if you can share your website, how people can get started, and then um some
I'll,
of the resources we can show up in the on the sites.
okay, so I'll share the links in chat here.
Yeah, and also if you can just briefly share the browser and show,
I'll,
even that would be good.
I think it's visible. Can you bring it on screen?
Yeah, just a second. Yeah.
Yep. So this is our documentation website. It's so whatever OS machine you are on, whether Windows, Linux, or Mac OS, you can go ahead and get started with it. It's simple, quick installation, one-click installation that we believe
Mm-hmm.
we have a lot of confidence on. To be honest, it works on. But just in case you're using Windows, make sure you're using WSL, and your Linux kernel is more than 5.15. That's by default in WSL2. For macOS, use the Docker installation will automatically take place, so you don't have to worry about anything else. Once you are done with it, you can try to run Keploy normally. Just the Keploy command would come up if you copy paste it. I would suggest to have take a look at one of our sample quick start guides. So whatever framework that you use or are more familiar with, it could be Python, it could be Go, it could be Java, it could be even JavaScript. So I would suggest to so we have an integration with one of our popular Java sample apps that's on GitHub. It's called Pet Clinic. So you can follow a guide. It's pretty simple and straightforward guide. Once you have set up your front end, uh, your back end is started, and you can directly dive into using either Docker or normal with native of how it's working. We have demoed it. We also have few videos up on our YouTube that you can go. So I'll just share the documentation and server installation links with everyone.
Yeah, so if we have the links, then maybe we can
Yeah.
people can start going through and they can start using it. Yeah, Animesh is always there on LinkedIn, so feel free to bug him for anything. But I think you also have an official
Yeah,
channel.
Slack channel. I'll just share the Slack channel link. So it's on our guide as well. You can join our Slack, we are pretty much available on whatever channel that you link us, ping us. Sorry, whether it's so right now we are going on a GSOC so as well. So feel free to join that.
Mm.
Yeah, I think I've shared the links with you, Ganesh.
Okay. All right. So I'll just share these on the chat on the other side. So copy. Let's put it here. Okay, and this one. So the next one is for the Slack, right?
Yeah, we have Slack and the quick installation.
Okay.
So yeah, you can see like what we all support: Redis, MySQL, Dynamo, Postgres, Oracle, Mongo, and the languages, and the list is still increasing.
Hmm. All right. I think we've got anything and everything covered in this. So most of the popular stuff is covered. So I think it won't be hard for people to get started. Um, can't just wait to see what people come up with and do with this, with the magic of testing, right?
Correct.
That's what we are at. Okay. Thank you, Animesh. Thank you for doing this, and thank you for getting Keploy on the screen here and showing us what Keploy can do. Um, and yeah, if people have any questions or anything, they can obviously join the Slack, which is there in the comments. So feel free to join the Slack channel, and that's it, I guess. See you there. So I think
Yeah,
somehow it disappeared. Okay, I'm still getting used to this live thing, so
no worries.
excuse me for that. Okay, all right. Thank you, Animesh. Thank you again. Thank you for the wonderful session, and have a good night.
Thank you, Ganesh, for having me and allowing me to showcase Kepler. Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good night. Bye bye.